This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today to start turning your dreams into a reality. Hey friends, so before I get in this episode with Michael, I would love to read a review I got from Dying Dinosaurs. Awesome name. He titles it, "Great guy and host. Logan cares so deeply about all of his guests. This guy is totally as pure as they come. He's 100% heart. Do yourself a favor and check out his great podcast." And that means so much to me. Thank you so much, Dying Dinosaurs, for that review. I love reading this stuff because it really makes me feel like I'm doing this for something instead of nothing. So I really think that if you have any time during your day to leave a review on Scratch Your Own Itch iTunes and just scroll down, it takes a couple extra seconds, and you've already left a review. Thank you so much. Definitely hit that subscribe button, because subscribing is what is going to give you the ability to go, hey, wow, Logan just let out another episode. And I'm doing these episodes much more often, trying to just give you guys as much as I can. I'm not going to say guys, give you my friends. Honestly, all my friends right now as much as I can, because I know that for a fact that I am stumbling upon something that has really changed my world and changed the way I look at everything. And perspective is everything, right? And one of the things that my book is going to be for is all those people that have that scattering mindset, that think, oh God, I can't actually do this thing because if I change, well, it's going to all be over. I'll have to leave it all behind. And I want to go into real quick this idea that which we get later into the interview, so I can let that speak for itself. But this idea of this quality question of what is that one thing that you have in your life that if you lost it, you feel like you'd lose it all, you'd lose your identity. And I want you to really think about the story you're telling yourself that makes it true, because I think that just asking us that quality sort of question in order to live a quality life ultimately leads up to creating a life worth living, which I'm all about. So yeah, with that, enjoy my interview with Michael. And also I'm going to post in the show notes, which I think is really cool, is an invitation for you to check out Scratch Your Own Itch, Create a Life Worth Living Facebook group. Please check that out. And also, last thing, if you're a coach and you're someone that is just finding themselves repeating themselves all the time, over and over and over, and you want to make a course, I am doing a course on conveyor.com on how to make a course. So you don't have to continue to repeat the steps over and over and over and tell your clients over and over and over what kind of work they should be doing. So you want to start making a course out of this in order to stop having to listen to yourself over and over and over. And so just go and email me at Logan@LoganTylerNelson.com if this at all interests you. Conveyor.com is an awesome platform, learning platform, in which you can send out texts, you can send out different challenges, you can send out different engagements just to get your students or your clients to actually, doing the work that sometimes we need extra support to do. So conveyor.com is there for us. So, all right, without further ado, enjoy my interview with Michael. Hey, you. Yeah, just you. So, my curiosity question for you is, what if you had your dream taken away from you? What would you do next? Let me set the tone. You've got your dream job as a professional athlete, then one day you have a little slip up and that leads to, well, having to say goodbye to the sport you love, and it catapults you into feeling like you lost your identity. You're not the athlete you used to be, so how do you find your way? Well, if you ever had something that you really loved and then lost it, this episode was made for you, because my guest and I are going to get deep into that idea. My guest is Michael Cazayoux. He's a 2-time world champion CrossFit team winner and top fitness coach, and he joins us to share his story about having to take a couple steps back in order to take a few steps forward. But most of all, we're going to dive deep into the different beliefs you have when you think it's all over, and what type of mindset shift you have to adopt to keep you going and scratch your own itch. And you're not alone in your recovery, because my sidekick and I are going to give you the tools you need to get back out in the field doing the best you can possibly do. But this isn't going to be your average pump and inspire type of conversation, because we're going to just get vulnerable, share some secrets of our own, and make you feel less alone and supported to do whatever it takes to feel you again. So, with all that said, I'd like you to meet the one and only Mike Cazayoux. Thank you, Mike, man, for coming on Scratch Your Own Itch.
What's up, man? Thank you for having me. Dude, you need to read guided meditations for a living or sensual audiobooks. That was a great intro, man. I'm happy to be here.
Well, thanks, man. I'll take that as the most best compliment I can possibly get, dude. That's awesome. Thank you. So I'd like to ask you the first question that I like to ask most of my guests, which is, I know your background is you've had problems with addiction, you've had problems with getting hurt as an athlete, but most of all, I'd really like to hear that story in which you were ultimately changed because of an enormous challenge you had to overcome.
Which one in particular? I've had lots of challenges. Are you talking about the back surgery?
Dude, yes. That sort of story where you're in CrossFit and then all of a sudden you get hurt and you're like told that, hey, if you do one more CrossFit game, it's over, man. Like if you do one more snatch, you're done.
Right. Yeah, man, absolutely. So I grew up playing sports. That was kind of my biggest passion in life. And at 13, I started having back spasms. And it was in particular when I would play soccer, I would just be running. They would put me on the outside and I would be running for about 45 minutes straight. And I started having back spasms to where I couldn't play sports. I couldn't hardly walk at times. And it was just incredibly painful. I found out that I had something called spondylolisthesis, AKA spondy, which is a genetic back disorder that about 10% of people have, and most people never realize it because it never really causes any complications. But because I was so active, it started acting up by the time I was 13. So I knew I had this thing. I rehabbed it really, really diligently when I was 13 and 14. did a ton of core work, glute work, and really got to a place where I didn't have pain until probably another 7 or 8 years. I had no significant pain. And I played football growing up. I did powerlifting. I did weightlifting where you snatch and clean and jerk. Again, no real issues. By the time I started CrossFit, or once I got really into CrossFit rather, I started having some complications because I was doing these really high rep, high intensity workouts. So my muscles were getting very tight. I was losing some of my range of motion. And on top of that, I was lifting really, really heavy. And in the winter of 2012, we had won the CrossFit Games for the first time. And in the winter of 2012, I really changed up my training program. And I started lifting a lot heavier more often. And within 90 days, I rapidly started feeling a lot of back pain. And it got to the point where I would have to spend like 30, 45 minutes every single morning on a foam roller and on a lacrosse ball, just putting it in my glutes and in my low back and hamstrings just to even be able to walk around for the day. And I would have to do that multiple times a day just to even function. And I continued to train really hard. And about sometime that next winter, or like in February of that next year, so just a few months later, I started having some neurological symptoms. So I couldn't feel my toes when I would lift or when I would do like the Airdyne bike. Then it progressed even further and I couldn't feel my feet. And about that time, I got pretty scared because I wasn't afraid of the back pain because I thought it was just a byproduct of how hard I was training, how tight my muscles were. And I went back to the doctor and they gave me new x-rays and it had progressed to a very severe level where if you picture your spine as, it's supposed to look kind of like a hotel where every vertebrae is stacked on top of one another. The very bottom, the base of my spine, what they call L4-5 and then L5-S1 was the S1, the bottom, the base of the spine. And then the one on top of that, they were almost like 50% off axis to where the entire top of my spine looked like it was about to fall off of that base. And it was really scary to look at. And the first doctor I said was, you can never do CrossFit again. And we're going to have to do surgery. And it was both terrifying. It was completely terrifying for sure. And I immediately just got very defensive and pretended like it didn't exist. And I'll try to make a long story short in saying over the next few months, I saw 7 different spinal surgeons, neurosurgeons. They gave me a lot of different ideas. Some said I have to have surgery. Some said I didn't absolutely need it, but I wouldn't be able to do CrossFit anymore. And I made the decision ultimately to finish out the season, despite all of the surgeons saying it was a very risky idea. And we went on to win the CrossFit Games again. I did it. I changed up my training quite a bit so that I didn't lift as heavy during the leading up to the competition. We ended up winning again. And then in December of that year, 2013, I had a spinal fusion done. It was an 8-hour surgery. They put metal in 2 different levels, those 2 levels at the bottom I was telling you about. And after that, as you were kind of alluding to, I had this sort of identity crisis where I grew up getting all of my affirmations, getting all of my sense of self-worth, even as being an athlete. I thought I was cool because I was an athlete. I thought I was worthy of people's attention and love and admiration because I was an athlete. And now I had metal in my back. I couldn't even hardly walk for a month. I couldn't train hard for 6 months. And I just really didn't know what value I brought to the world. And through my support system, the close-knit group of people I have around me, mixed with some of the tools, the coping skills that I learned through my time in therapy and drug treatment, I was able to reframe that experience and kind of get to a new level of consciousness, if you will, for me, where I was able to transcend what I thought I was. I thought I was an athlete, and I was able to transcend that and see that I'm so much more than an athlete. I'm a brother, I'm a son, I'm a coach, I'm an athlete, I'm all of those things, and I'm also none of those things. If all of I came to realize that if all of it was taken away from me, then I am still me, and just because I'm me, I'm worthy of love from, the people around me and from myself.
Oh wow, man. Geesh, what a story. And then also being able to take that mindset that you've so I think admirably achieved to adopt, because it's just so like I get that same thing, man. Like, and I still have it, like being in a certain body where all of a sudden, like, I'll put on a little fat because I'm trying to gain muscle, and I go, wow, that's like not you anymore, dude. Like, what happened to you? Like, and it's just all inside of our head. Like, it's just the story
100%.
that we tell ourselves. And so I kind of want to like get into that, and because you're a very wise guy, I can tell already, is a person that's just like gets that there's a certain story that you tell yourself that is so hard to tell yourself a new story because you've been telling yourself this one story your entire life. So I think it would be really cool. Like, one story I'm telling myself lately is that I need to be like working out all the time, always moving in order to stay looking good. Is there any other story that you're telling yourself right now that you think that's just like, hey, I'm doing this, but I also know that it's bullshit at the same time. Is that okay if I ask you that question?
Say that one more time. You lost me at the end.
Yeah. So like that question of like something that you're doing right now that you totally believe in
Mhm.
100%, but at the same time, it might not be sustainable. And so therefore you go, okay, that's bullshit. Like, if I lost that, that's okay. Like, I'm okay with losing this thing. Maybe it's because I know you own a gym, so I'd like to ask you, like, what if you lost
Gotcha,
that?
gotcha. Okay, yeah, I totally got it. And just to be clear, I don't own a gym. I own an online fitness company.
Okay.
So similar, but a little bit different. So your question, yeah, that's a great question. Right now in my life, I'm trying to separate myself from listening and identifying with any story whatsoever. And so at the end of the day, what I'm trying to practice is this belief that if everything was taken away, then I am still me, I'm still okay. Right? So whatever, if it's my business, if it's my wife, if it's my health, I don't want to I don't want to attach to anything too much because it's that can cause a lot of suffering. And so what I'm trying to do is be mindful and just be present with what I'm doing. So if I'm on this podcast, I'm only thinking about this podcast. I'm present with you here today for the next, 30 to 60 minutes. Later today, I've got some meetings. I'm going to be fully present on those meetings. Later tonight, I'm going to be hosting a few friends and I'm going to be fully there. I'm not going to be thinking about work. I'm not going to be thinking about, working out. I'm going to be present with my friends, just being there with them. And through that, I'm able to be just a happier, more successful individual. When you attach to stories too much, you're only as good as your last thought, right? So if you're focusing on thinking positive, that's all great when everything in life is going well. But as soon as something doesn't go your way, we kind of have this, human beings have this automatic reaction, especially when our minds are untrained, that a negative thought's just going to pop in our head. And if all we're practicing is positive self-talk, then we're not going to have the tools to deal with this negative thing happening in our lives. I think a more evolved way of going about life is just trying to become the watcher of your thoughts. So rather than trying to think positive, just become the watcher of your thoughts and be present in the activities that you're doing. So if something doesn't go your way, you might notice that your immediate thought is, fuck, like, why me? so and so shouldn't treat me that way, whatever the situation may be. And you can watch that and not react. The untrained mind will have that thought and immediately identify with that thought, believe it, and then it causes this whole chain of events to occur afterwards. You follow me there?
Dude, yes. Thank you so much for saying that, because this is what I'm geeking out on, is that sort of like, so someone could come up to you and be like, "Hey, Mike, your online program sucks." And then another person come up to you and say like, "Hey, Mike, like, I love your online program. Like, I love that you do what you do."
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden you go, which one's true? Whichever one's more helpful, man. Like, that's the
Right.
story.
Whatever one serves you.
Yeah. And there is a huge notion to just go to the negativity and fight back and lash back and try to prove to the people that are part of the choir that don't believe in you. But that's like,
Right.
who wants to do that for the rest of their life? I don't.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for sort of breaking that down. That was incredibly well done, my friend. Really cool.
Appreciate it. And I just want to be clear. I do, and I think you're thinking the same thing. Negative feedback, critical feedback is crucial for our own growth. But there are two ways to look at it. One way is to take it personal and to hear someone saying your program sucks and take it as them saying you suck, right? And even if they are doing it, there's two different ways to take that, right? You can take it personal and get nothing out of it and just react and try to lash out at them and get back at them and get defensive. Or you can take it as, okay, what part of what they're telling me is true, and how can I improve what it is I'm doing, whether it be in personal or professional life? How can I use this to make what I'm doing, make my life, make my product, make my service even better?
That is so cool. That is so, so cool. Like, I'm just like, I'm sitting here, man, with a huge smile on my face, because you're so right. And I would say that I would like to ask you, do you think that being an athlete kind of taught you to think this way, though?
I think being an athlete is one of the avenues that has really challenged me mentally and given me the opportunity to work on my mindset. Yeah, it's definitely one of many things. It gave me the opportunity to work really, really hard, develop some discipline, work on my mindset, work on being present, being mindful while I'm training, while I'm competing. So yeah, it definitely helped.
That is awesome. That's so cool. I kind of want to pivot a little bit and talk about your online business and the work that you do to help people become physically just better. And I think because the body is the mind, I think physically they can greater themselves. They can also mentally greater themselves too. So what do you think like really makes your online program different?
We focus first on mindset. So what most companies or brands in the fitness industry focus entirely on is physical, right? Because that's what people think they want. That's what they think they need. But what people really want and need is just to be happier, right? A lot of people have bodies that they're not proud of, and they think that if they have a better body, then they'll be happier. What we see a lot of times is people will they will get that body and they will still be unhappy because they'll develop some kind of new goal, right? They might want to lose 10 pounds. They lose the 10 pounds. Now they want to lose 10 more pounds, right? They want more, always thinking when I reach X, then I'll be happy. We know that if we affect the mind first, then we can get people to that happier place much, much faster. And we can give them the tools to reach their goals in every single area of life versus just their physical fitness. So we teach people about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. We teach people about the power of vulnerability, about being mindful in your activities, whether it be in or out of the gym. We talk to people about proper goal setting, focusing on the process rather than just the outcome. And in general, I'm just rattling off a lot of different things that we teach people that affect their mindset in every area of life. One thing I'm really big on is, people that are involved in sport or any kind of competition, they think mindset work or mental work is just like a visualization exercise before you work out, or it's just like a technique that you use in your training. That's bullshit. The way that you think and your mindset in your life, right, in your relationships, in your career, in your personal life, is the same exact mindset that you carry into your training, your craft, whatever that may be. And so we try to influence people to change their mindset in every area of their life, because that's ultimately going to make them a better competitor. Because of that, people are happier. They're taking bigger risk in every other area of their life, not just their fitness. So I think reversing that whole, like, how do we get people happier, is what really sets us apart and what really makes it feel like a family rather than just a fitness program.
Oh, so cool. So cool. I love that you go down those different avenues and use those different tools in order to process. Really, because that's what it all comes down to. It's like, like, we can't just slap someone and go, hey, now you got awesome chest muscles to pick up that 450 pounds. Like, that would just be skipping steps, and someone has to go through the process. And I love that you talk about the other shift that you really do, which is the mindset of not just visualizing it, but knowing when you come to the gym, like what's your intention. Setting the intention is another thing that I kind of picked up from doing research on you, and I'd love to talk about that a little bit. Is this intention, like how you use intention in a daily habit of yours to set your day off right?
Yeah, that's a great point. So whether it's in the gym or in career or whatever it may be, any kind of direction you want to head in life, it makes a lot of fucking sense to be clear about how you're going to get there, right? So a lot of people show up at the gym and they just say, they see the program and they say, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to do my best at the workout, right? Or they see my world is CrossFit. So most days they have something to do for time. So they see the workout, they say, I want to do that in 8 minutes, right? Because the last time they did it in 8 minutes and 15 seconds. What they don't consider is that they might not have gotten great sleep last night. They might be neurologically taxed. They might not be even capable of getting that workout in 8 minutes, but they're setting that goal. And so ultimately they're setting themselves up for failure. And that's what we do in so many areas of our life. We make our goals outcome goals, where we focus on things that are outside of our control, like beating someone. That's outside of our control because we can't control how good someone is. I might train the rest of my life as hard as I can, and I might never be able to beat Matt Frazier, who's the fittest man on earth right now. That's just outside of my control. We do that in all areas of our life. If we take the time to be intentional, as you're saying, and focus on things that are inside of our control, then we're going to be able to build more confidence, and we're ultimately going to be able to grow faster because we're going to be focused on literally just growing and getting better and putting in effort. So the things that are inside of our control are our effort, our habits, our, what time we show up at the gym, exactly what we do when we get there, right? I might make a goal to show up 30 minutes early so that I can get a very specific warm up in every day. I might make a goal to focus on one cue in a certain lift, right? All of these things are inside of my control. And if I do them, I know that I'm going to get better, right? I know that those are pieces of the process of me getting better. If I consistently succeed in doing what I tell myself I'm going to do, I'm going to build a lot of confidence. I'm going to build self-efficacy, where I have this feeling that when I say I'm going to do something, I know and I trust myself to do it, to follow through. So I've got on the right side of my desk right now, I've got my full schedule from 6 to 5 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then after, I just have enjoy my night with my friends that I was telling y'all about. And then on the far right, I have the top 3 priorities for the day. And they're things that are completely inside my control. I have prepare for tomorrow's podcast. I have enter in my thesis questions into SurveyMonkey, and I have prepare for another podcast down at the end, all inside my control. And if I succeed in completing those, I'm going to chalk it up as a very successful day, because they all require, actually the thesis one doesn't require much, but the podcast preparation requires some deep thinking. It requires some creativity. And if I can get those 2 done, then it's a successful day.
Just, I love it that you gave us such an awesome example, and then you also gave us what you do as far as intention goes personally. But I want to let anyone that needs to listen to this right now, that just take it slow. Don't think that you have to adopt exactly what Michael does in a day. Maybe set one intention, and I think Mike might agree with me that it's just small investments
100%.
that gets you along there.
Yeah, these habits have been built literally over years. So pick one thing that you think will have the biggest impact on your life. Pick something that, if you succeed in it, will have a domino effect on the rest of your life. It'll make other things in your life either unnecessary or maybe effortless, or just easier to get done, right? Pick that one thing in your life that will have the biggest impact, and just focus on that one thing. Get consistent with that until it's automatic, until it's part of who you are.
So, dude, so cool. I love that so much. I'd love to get into what I call scratch the surface curiosity questions, where I'm going to ask you just 3 questions that are a little bit deeper, and then like 4 questions that are more of like, the only rule is first thing that pops in your mind, just say it. Is that cool with you?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first question is, what do you think is one thought that you keep having that you kind of just wish you didn't have anymore?
Let's see. So and so is better than me at whatever, at anything. I wish I would see someone's success more often. And it's not black and white. It's not like every time I see someone succeeding, I have some kind of negative self-comparison. But I wish that every single time I saw someone else succeeding, it would just inspire me rather than make me feel small.
Oh, dude, I want to give you a virtual high five and tell you at the same time you're so not alone in that thought, man.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why I made this show. Mission statement done. So the next next question I'd like to ask you, if you could sit down anybody in front of you, dead or alive, and become that person for just 1 month, who would it be and why?
Oh my gosh. Become that person for a month. The Buddha.
Dude.
The Buddha. I think that would have a pretty transformative effect on my mind. Coming back to myself. That'd be tight.
That would be really tight. That'd be cool. Oh, God. The Buddha.
But I wonder if I became him and I'm in my mind, I might just mess everything up. I'm sure he had a lot of followers and shit, and I might just mess everything up. But I'm going with Buddha.
I think Michael Cazayoux, the Buddha, would be great. Great mix. Yeah. I would hang out.
A fitter version.
Yeah. Oh man, the Buddha being fit. Yes.
Yep.
Dude, you should definitely make a logo for your site, like you being the Buddha that's just fit as heck. That'd be yeah. Anyways, ideas we'll talk about off show. Anyways, the next question I'd love to ask you is what is that one thing that you want to stamp on a billboard for the universe to read and just remind themselves every now and then when they're feeling lost, that they can just remind themselves this quote to just know that they're on the right path?
I'm going to think about it for a second. I've got the basic idea. You'll never find happiness in your own head. Get out and help someone else. something like that.
And that lifts me up so much, and I think you're so right. I rarely say that word right, because I think everything can be questioned, but when you lift someone else up, no matter which religion you come from, whatever spiritual basis you come from, as long as you're just um, being there of service, it's amazing the sort of hack that is in life when you're feeling down.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that's the key to just a consistent, lifelong, deep sense of happiness and fulfillment is serving others and shifting your focus to others.
So cool. All right. Well, I want to shift into this sort of like first thing that comes to mind. Just 3 questions, and then we'll also at the end get you to plug in anything in which Michael Cazayoux is not hard to find. I'll put in the show notes how to spell his last name, because it's not certainly it's not at all pronounced the way it's spelled. So, but before we do that, let's just go through 3 or 4 really quick first thought that comes to mind. Okay.
Let's do
All
it.
right. So, favorite word.
Fuck. That was easy.
Least favorite word.
It's probably pie.
I like that.
I love pie. I don't like saying the word.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I have no explanation.
Yeah, that doesn't say anything about you at all. No, not at all. I'm just joking. Favorite sound.
Oh man. A bass guitar.
Nice.
I love heavy bass.
Nice. Least favorite sound.
Like a what do they call them? Like a lap dog, like a yappy lap dog, just barking.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, yappy lapdog. Okay. I think I could actually very much agree with that. I also hate the sound of vacuums. I don't know what it is. But okay, and then so I loved everything you said. I think you dropped some amazing value bombs. I think you also just are really, really, really good at this sort of thing. I don't know if you've ever been told that you're really great at interviews, but you are, man. Like I've just had a
I appreciate it.
ton of awesome time with you. And then where can people find you and find more about your programs? And if you got any offers, I'd love to also put that in the show notes for anybody to just hop on and become like honestly your friend, man. Not just to hit the next podcast episode and go like, I listened to this guy. He made a ton of sense. He really changed the way I thought about a lot of things. But I'm just gonna hit next because I'm really like on to like learning more. But rather actually taking an action step and actually becoming friends with you. Where can people find you?
So you can find the fitness programs that we talked about at brutestrengthtraining.com. Best thing to do is sign up for our newsletter, and just that we're going to keep you up to date on all of the programs that we're putting out, all of the free content that we give out. That's just the best way to stay in the know. If you need help with nutrition, look up workingagainstgravity.com. That's the company that my wife started that I'm also a part of. It's the best nutrition company on the planet. We have a similar ethos at that company of putting the mind first. And then I'm actually off of social media. So as far as becoming my friend, it's best if you're in Austin and you want to hang out in person. I'm trying to prioritize hanging out with more people in person and building a tribe, a community locally. And only because I've realized for me, I don't deal with social media very well. It's become like a compulsion where I use it at the wrong times when I should be doing more deep work, or I should be present. And it's just something that I felt was using me rather than me using it. So I'm on a hiatus for just indefinitely. I think, did I answer all of your
Yeah,
questions?
man, that's so awesome. That's cool. I really, really think that's awesome and admirable. And also, it's so hard for people having an online business to just go like, no, I'm not going to use social media anymore. And that's like, heck, man, I want to get,
Yeah. Well, my business definitely still uses it. I'm just in a position where I'm not the face of it. And so I have the luxury of taking some time off so that I can kind of reclaim my control over my phone, if you will.
yeah, certainly. And it's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't have that little.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a time
It
sucker, man.
is. But thank you so much, Mike. I'd love to have you back on if you would ever like to come back on and just go through another talk like this, man. These are the kind of talks that I love having on the show. The conversations we're afraid to have, but we need to talk about more. And you've certainly done that. So
I'm glad, man. Yeah, this was super enjoyable. I'd love to come back anytime.
all right, there's another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with Michael and I. Oh man, that was that was a great episode. I really had a good time with him. We broke down a lot. Talked about his life. We broke down the different mindset changes, the offers that he has as a online coach, and also just talking about breaking free from social media. We talked about that at the very end, but I want you to still, reach out to him. On his website and check out Brute Strength Fitness and give that like a little testing. Maybe it's something that can scratch your own itch right now. So check it out if you're curious, and then also if you don't mind taking an extra couple of seconds and leaving this guy a review, that would be awesome. Just to let me know that you're listening. Means a lot. I usually read out reviews, new recent reviews that I get on the show at the very beginning, and check that out, and then hit that subscribe button so you can get the notification on your phone on whatever device you're listening this to, and say, hey, wow, Logan Tyler Nelson from Scratch Your Own Itch just got a new episode that he just rolled out, and that will be awesome. Just hit that subscribe button. And I also want to say to you that if you're looking for a way, if you're a business coach or you're a owner of some sort and you've always wanted to make passive income doing a course, but you keep finding yourself saying over and over and over, I don't know how to do courses because I'm technologically inefficient, please email me, Logan at LoganTylerNelson.com. I'm going to do a Conveyor.com course, and that is a platform in which you can do it all on your phone. Check that out. You can do something on your phone, and this little course thing will keep your clients, not only your clients, but also maybe somebody that's your friend, accountable to doing what you want to do. And I think it's a great platform. So check it out. Conveyor.com. And then last but not least, you matter and you're enough, and don't ever forget it.